Hello students, this video is for Dr. Amaya TELS 3363 class, and the topic of the video is cover letters. In the book these are called application letters, but I just want you to understand that they are the same thing. I just typically call them cover letters in my business conversation, so that's the term I use here. There are two kinds of cover letters that are created. One of those is solicited letters, those that are written in response to an ad, and the other one is unsolicited letters, those that just are written with no published job openings to go by. The advantage to the solicited letters is that it allows you to be very specific about how your skill set, your knowledge, and your work history apply towards the specific job opening. The benefit that you can see on an unsolicited letter is that you can actually write this and highlight your skills and look for any job opening within a business. So that is sometimes an advantage. The problem with the unsolicited letters is that a lot of times these are not accepted by companies. It just depends on the field. There are a lot of companies, mine included, that will only accept resumes and cover letters whenever there's a job opening. Now, don't forget that for the assignment we're working on, you are going to do a solicited letter because you have already selected a job opening and created your resume, so this is going to go hand in hand with that. The three parts of the cover letter, of course, are the opening, the body, and the closing. The opening is a very important part because it grabs your reader's attention and makes them want to read the rest of the letter. So in the cover letter opening, the first thing you want to do is address the letter to an individual by name if you have any way to get that name. There are a lot of job ads out there that have you just responding to an email, so you won't have a name to go by. But if you happen to get one that tells you who to call or who to talk to or who to send your resume to, you definitely want to use that in your opening. If you don't have that, here's the one thing you do not want to do. Do not use "to whom it may concern." I know for a fact that in my business, anything that comes through the front door in the mail gets handled by the receptionist. And when she gets a letter that says "to whom it may concern," she has no idea where to send it, and she doesn't have the time to try to dig in and figure it out. Often, those letters don't go anywhere. So if you don't have a specific name, I encourage you to use a title. Use something like "Dear Hiring Manager" or "Dear HR Manager." Those kind of titles will make sure that that letter does get to that person even though their name is not used. So you might think this is just a minor thing. It's not. Use a title. Use a name if you have it, and make sure your letter gets to its intended audience. The second bullet point says name the job source. You want to make sure that you tell them how you know there was a job opening. And you'll want to use a specific source, the date, where it was published, whatever, for a couple of reasons. One is it helps this company to know which job ads are working for them. The other one is they may have written up very specific things in the different job ads, and so you're going to want to tell them which one to use whenever they get ready to interview you. The third bullet point is if you know somebody in this company, or if somebody recommended this job to you, name that person here. Make sure that it says right up front, "I heard about this job from Mr. So-and-so," and just make sure that you mention that. It could go toward getting you a foot in the door. The next bullet point, be sure that you identify the position you are interested in. Do not make them work for this. Give it to them. They will very much appreciate the fact that you tell them what position it is you are applying for. Often companies will have several positions open at the same time, and so you want to make sure that you get your name in the right hat. Next to the last here, we want to include a one-sentence summary, just a good overview of yourself. You do not want to go into a lot of detail. That's what the body of the letter is for. But you will want to introduce yourself in this first paragraph in just a very short one-sentence part. And then finally, if you can find any way to casually mention some knowledge, something that shows that you know about this business or you know about this specific company, those are very good things to kind of slip in. They do get recruiters' attention whenever they think that you've done your homework or that you understand their business. Here's an example opening. I'll read it to you and then we'll talk about it a bit. Dear Mr. Hernandez, I'm writing in response to your notice in the May 13th New York Times. Please consider me for the position in system programming. I hope you find my studies in computer science at the University of Houston, along with my programming experience at Airborne Instruments, qualify me for the position. Okay, this is a really good opening paragraph. First of all, this person was able to address a specific person, Mr. Hernandez. This will get to his desk, so that's a great opening and a great tool to use if you have it at your disposal. The next thing they did was identify where the job source was. It was not only listed as being in the New York Times, but they told the specific date. I found this job opening in the May 13th New York Times. That's excellent strategy here. They identified the job title, which is a position in systems programming, and they finished up with a one-sentence brief overview of who they are. The cover letter body. You want to do a couple of things. You want to make sure that this part of the letter covers some ground. First of all, you want to make sure that it demonstrates how your background and training meet the job requirements. And you'll find out later in some of the checklists or tips about this, you do not want to use the same exact wording that you use in your resume. You want to reword this. In your resume, you have very concise bullet points. Here, you want to try to use that same information, but word it a little differently, put it in a paragraph format. Show them that you are qualified for this job in a casual conversational way. You also want to summarize your principal assets here. So make sure they know what it is you're really good at. And you want to point out your best qualifications. Where you've gone to school, what you've done, what kind of training you've had, those kind of things that just demonstrate to them that you are indeed qualified for the job opening. In the cover letter closing, there are a couple of things you want to cover here. First of all, ask for an interview. Make sure they know that you are prepared and desiring to meet with them face to face. Number two, refer to your resume here. You want to make sure that they know that this is not just a standalone letter, but that it is designed to go with your resume. These two documents need to work together. It takes both of them to give a potential employer the information they need to want to contact you. So make sure you refer to it here so they know that it is available. And finally, you want to tell them how to contact you and when to contact you. And if you want to, you can actually offer to call them instead. Here's an example of closing that says, the enclosed resume provides more information about my education and experience. Could we meet at your convenience to discuss further the skills and experience I could bring to Pentamax? You can leave a message for me at any time at phone number or a blast at uofh.edu. All right, the first thing this person did was refer to their resume. Again, they were making sure that there was a connection here between this document and the resume so that the potential employer knows where to go for further information. The second thing they did, could we meet at your convenience? They very specifically requested a face-to-face meeting. This is an excellent idea. Finally, this person told them that they could be contacted at any time and gave a phone number and an email address. A second example says, more information about my education and experience is included on the enclosed resume, but I would appreciate the opportunity to meet with you to discuss my application. You can reach me after 1 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the phone number or leave a message anytime. Again, they referred to the resume, making that connection between these two documents. They also very specifically asked for a face-to-face meeting. Again, a great idea. And then not only did they tell them what the phone number was, but told them the best time to call, anytime after 1 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or told them that they could leave a message. So this is another great example closing paragraph. Okay, that's all we have for the documents from the unit, but I want to show you two more reference documents that are available. One of them is the cover letter checklist, and the other is the cover letter guidelines. The checklist looks very much like the one from Unit 4 did. Just some really good questions. Once again, I suggest that you go through this checklist before you submit your cover letter to me, as this is a great way to make sure that you covered all the bases. The other one is more like hints and tips for crafting a really good cover letter. So I suggest that you read through these and use this advice whenever you're drafting your letter. And this kind of information is just really, really helpful in getting you started on a very good cover letter for your first pass attempt. Okay, I look forward to talking to you again soon. But this should cover the topic of cover letters and get you well on your way to completing this assignment.